Mark had been working the night shift at St. Alden's Hospital for nearly 6 months. The hospital was no longer in full use. Most of it had been shut down after a fire in the East Wing years ago. Only one floor remained functional, serving as a storage area and temporary shelter for emergency patients. The rest of the building stood silent, its corridors swallowed by shadows, as if the walls themselves had forgotten what it meant to hold. Every night, Mark clocked in at 11 p.m. and clocked out at 7 a.m. The routine was simple. Patrol the halls, check the locked doors, and make sure no trespassers entered. He hated it, but the pay was steady. That night, the wind outside howled like a living thing, and the hospital's old windows rattled in their frames. At 1:15 a.m., Mark was walking the 3rd floor when he noticed something odd. A patient logbook lay open on the nurse's station desk. The ink looked fresh, as if someone had just signed in. He leaned closer. The name written there was shaky, uneven, as though the hand had trembled. Patient 9. He frowned. He had never seen that name before. No room was assigned to it. Trying to shrug it off, he closed the book and continued his rounds. But as he walked past room 309, he froze. The door, which he knew was locked and unused, was ajar. A faint yellow glow leaked out, pulsing like candlelight. "Hello?" He called, his voice low, uncertain. Pushing the door open, he found the room lit by the single overhead bulb. It flickered weakly. On the bed sat a figure, thin and pale, rocking slowly back and forth. The patient gown hung loose on its body, and its hair draped forward, hiding its face. Mark felt a chill crawl up his spine. "Sir, you're not supposed to be here," he managed. The figure stopped rocking. The air grew colder. Then, in a voice that was both male and female, young and old, it whispered, "Don't turn around." Mark spun instinctively, but the doorway was empty. When he turned back, the bed was empty too. The restraints hung loose, swaying slightly as though just released. His radio crackled suddenly. "Mark, report in. We're seeing movement on the cameras near 309. His hands trembled as he pressed the button. "I'm at 309. There's no one here." Static hissed, then faintly through the radio. "Yes, there is." The bulb above him burst with a sharp pop, plunging the room into darkness. Mark staggered backward, his flashlight struggling to stay on. In its beam, he caught a glimpse. The same figure, crawling on all fours across the ceiling like a spider, its head twisted at an unnatural angle, grinning with teeth far too sharp. He ran. His footsteps echoed like gunshots down the hall. Behind him came the sound of dragging metal, something scraping against the tiles, growing closer with each second. Mark bolted down the stairwell, his breath ragged. On the ground floor, the emergency exit should have been open. Instead, he found it chained shut. He pulled, slammed, cursed. The rattling chains were the only answer. Then, from the end of the hallway, he saw her. The same figure, standing beneath a flickering light. She tilted her head slowly, still rocking, even though her feet never left the ground. And then, the lights went out across the entire hospital. Mark's screams were the last sound anyone heard that night. When the morning guard arrived, all they found was his flashlight on the floor, still warm, and the logbook on the desk dot. It was open again. A new line had been written beneath Patient 9, Patient 10, Mark H. Ethan never liked his job at the old textile factory. The place had shut down years ago, but one warehouse remained in use. His duty was simple: watch the property overnight, from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and make sure no one broke in. The building was massive, with endless rows of silent machines covered in dust. The air smelled of oil and mold, and every sound echoed far too long. Ethan often joked that the machines seemed like sleeping animals, waiting to wake up. But he never laughed when he said it. That night, the storm outside was merciless. Rain lashed the windows, and the power flickered more than once. Around 2 a.m., Ethan began his rounds with a flashlight. As he passed through the weaving hall, he froze. One of the machines, a loom that hadn't worked in a decade, was running. The shuttle darted back and forth, threads snapping into place, though no one stood at the controls. Ethan's light caught a half-finished fabric rolling out. It wasn't cloth. It looked fleshy, pale, almost like skin. His chest tightened. He pulled the plug from the wall. Sparks flew. The machine screeched, and then silence. He muttered to himself, "Old wiring, nothing more." But as he turned away, he noticed footprints on the dusty floor, bare, wet, leading deeper into the factory. He followed them, every step colder than the last. The prints stopped at a heavy steel door that he had always found locked. Tonight, it was open a crack. The smell hit him first. Copper, damp earth, rot. Ethan pushed the door wider. Inside was a storage room, or so it had been. Now, torn mannequins hung from hooks, their faces scraped clean, eyes gouged out. On the far wall, something had been scrawled in red paint or blood. "Keep working." Ethan stumbled backward, bile rising in his throat. That's when he heard it, the rhythmic clatter of machines, one by one, roaring to life across the factory floor. A chorus of metal grinding filled the air. His radio hissed. "Control to Ethan. Why did you start the equipment?" "We're seeing power surges." "I didn't," he began, but a whisper interrupted. Not from the radio. From just behind him. "Your shift isn't over." Ethan swung his light around. Nothing. Only mannequins swaying slightly, as if breathing. He ran, flashlight bouncing wildly. Every corridor looked the same, stretching longer than it should have, like the building itself was changing. Then he saw it. At the end of the hall, a figure was standing between the machines. Tall, draped in something stitched from dozens of different fabrics or skins. Its head was hidden beneath a sack, threads dangling like hair. It raised its arm. The machines obeyed. Belts whirred, wheels spun, and from the shadows came the deafening sound of weaving. Ethan realized what they were making. A half-finished roll of fabric. His flashlight beam caught the surface. Not cloth, not skin this time. A pattern of his face. His own eyes staring back. The machine screamed louder. The figure took one slow step toward him. The lights went out. When morning came, Ethan's replacement found the factory silent once more. No machines running. No sign of struggle. Only a single spool of finished fabric, resting neatly on the loom woven into it, was a perfect portrait. Ethan's face, his mouth wide open, frozen in a scream. Daniel had worked the night shift at St. Mary's Hospital morgue for 3 years. He always said the dead were easier to deal with than the living. They didn't complain, didn't argue, and didn't stare at him with hollow eyes. At least, they weren't supposed to. The morgue was buried deep beneath the hospital, a maze of tiled hallways and locked steel doors. His job was simple: catalog the bodies, update paperwork, and wait until morning. Most nights, he passed the time with coffee and his old radio. But tonight was different. At 1:37 a.m., a power surge plunged the hospital basement into darkness. Daniel's radio fizzed and then went dead. Only the emergency lights remained, dim red, making the room look like it was soaked in blood. From the far end of the storage chamber, a metallic clang. One of the body drawers. Daniel froze. He told himself it was just the building settling. But then came another clang, louder, closer. He forced himself to walk down the row, flashlight trembling in his hand. Drawer number 17 was ajar. The tag read, "Unidentified female, Doha, room 406. He exhaled, muttered, "Just a faulty latch," and pushed the drawer closed. But as he turned away, the radio, long dead, crackled back to life. Through static, a woman's voice whispered, "Daniel, don't shut me in." His breath caught in his throat. He yanked the radio cord from the wall. Still, the whispering continued. Not from the radio now, but from inside the drawer. Hands trembling, he pulled it open. The body inside lay pale and still, eyes stitched shut. A sheet covered most of her, but her mouth was parted, lips forming silent words. He stumbled back. No, no, no. Then all around him, drawers began to rattle. One by one, they slammed open. The morgue filled with the sound of nails dragging against steel, bodies shifting beneath sheets. The woman's stitched eyes twitched. Her lips moved again. This time, Daniel heard it clearly. "You locked us away. Now it's your turn." The lights flickered violently. In the red glow, Daniel saw them. Dozens of figures sitting up in their drawers, moving in jerks like broken puppets. Their mouths opened in unison. A chorus of whispers filled the morgue. The last thing Daniel felt was ice-cold fingers curling around his wrist. When the morning staff arrived, the morgue was spotless. All drawers closed. All bodies accounted for, except Daniel. His badge was found on the floor near drawer number 17, its surface scratched with 2 words, "Still here." Elias had taken the night shift at a lonely gas station off Highway 9. The place was little more than a flickering neon sign, 2 rusty pumps, and a tiny convenience store that always smelled faintly of mildew. The locals said no one should work there after midnight, but Elias needed the job. He thought the rumors about screams echoing in the cornfields, headlights with no cars attached, and people vanishing at the pumps were just small-town legends. At 2:04 a.m., a black sedan rolled up. Its headlights blinded him as it stopped. Elias waited for someone to step out, but the doors never opened. The engine wasn't running, yet the lights stayed on. When he approached the car, he saw the windows were covered in condensation. From the inside, a handprint smeared across the glass, dragging downward. His stomach knotted. He turned back toward the station. Inside, the security monitor flickered. Camera 3, the one above pump 2, showed the car. Only, it didn't. The feed displayed an empty lot. No car, no lights. Then the bell above the shop door chimed. Ding. Elias spun around. but the store was empty. The aisles of chips and soda stood still, but the air had grown freezing. His breath fogged the glass door of the refrigerator beside him. On the floor, fresh muddy footprints appeared, one by one, leading toward the counter. He staggered back. The cash register sprang open on its own with a loud clack. Inside wasn't money, but a folded note. His hands shook as he opened. It read, "You're next, Elias." The sound of tires screeching outside made him flinch. He darted to the window. The black sedan was gone. But as he looked closer at the glass, he realized the condensation wasn't on the outside. It was spreading across the inside of the station's windows, fogging them over until he could barely see out. A shadow moved across the fog, tall, human-shaped. The bell chimed again. The lights went out when morning came. The gas station stood, silent, lights buzzing faintly. No sign of Elias. Only the note remained on the counter, still open and new muddy footprints, leading back into the cornfields. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and like the video for more nightmares told in the dark. Who knows? Maybe during your next night shift, you'll hear the same whispers too. Until our next meeting in the shadows.